The conversation in regard to the plight of science teachers in Uganda continues here on the Twitter Jabs. And actually, in a press statement, I'll just give you a small recap. In a press statement that was signed by the Secretary General, and that is of the National Executive Council for Uganda Professional Science Teachers, and that is Mr. Mugaiga, he went ahead and vowed to commence their industrial action, and that is next week, Monday, adding that they would only resume when their welfare issues were resolved and schools, of course, officially reopened on the 9th of May. And actually, that was this week on Monday. Now, the teachers want the Public Service Ministry to implement the presidential directive and cabinet resolutions of August 24th, 2021 of enhancing salaries to all scientists, including science teachers, to 4 million Ugandan shillings for the newly appointed degree holders and 3 million Ugandan shillings for the diploma holders. And that is what we're going to be diving into. However, I am no expert and would better if we hear it from the horse's mouth. And joining me this morning on the panel is none other than Mr. Elong Vincent, and he's the National Chairperson, Uganda Professional Teachers Union. And today, as we speak, actually, they're officially making 2 years ever since they actually registered. And as well, this is actually the leading group, or the group that is behind the national or the science teachers that who will take action if they're, if they're not fully settled and if their demands are not met. Good morning, Mr. Elong, and thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Good morning, and very good morning, Ugandans.
Yes.
My name, as she has stated it, is Vincent Elong. I'm the National Chairperson,
Yes.
Uganda Professional Science Teachers Union.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, as the conversation continues, we shall also be joined by Mr. Philbert Baguma, and I actually had mentioned him earlier, and he's the General Secretary, Uganda National Teachers Union, the official governing body of all teachers nationwide, and that is UNATU. So he'll be joining us later on in the conversation. So Vincent, my first question would be, help us understand or shed more light on what is the mandate of the Uganda Professional Science Teachers Union.
Thank you again. First of all, Uganda Professional Science Teachers Union emerged in 2019.
Okay.
After the issue of our welfare in 2019 financial year, government had come up with a 5-year pay target to enhance salaries for civil servants, all civil servants.
Yes.
And by that time there were 9, I think about 10 registered labor unions which are representing public servants on the National Consultative and Negotiating Council. So they came up with a 5-year pay target. Our union was not yet born.
Yes.
And as you put it, UNATU was still looking at our welfare. So the government earmarked fund for the first phase, because that phases were supposed to take 5 years. Actually, it is expiring in July. And they partially, I want to say partially, signed an agreement which was not complete, because the unions signed what they call CBA, Collective Bargaining Agreement, in that effect. And it was supposed to ensure that a graduate cadre of humanity
Yes.
in 5 years moves to 4.5 million. And the graduate cadre who is a scientist moved to 4.8 million this coming financial year.
Okay.
And a doctor was supposed to move to 5 million. And then the other corresponding cadres, the diploma cadres, moves to 3 million and 3.5 respectively. But as to go back, that agreement was not fully signed, because the union side signed and only the permanent secretary, Minister of Public Service, signed. But there were other key government officers that were supposed to sign, and that agreement was supposed to be taken to Minister of Gender, Labor and Social Development to be registered. But the Solicitor General didn't sign. The the permanent secretary, Minister of Finance, who is supposed to give the financial implication, didn't sign. The head of public service and the secretary to the cabinet didn't sign.
Okay.
So these unions were kept in the dark and they didn't follow this. Up to now, that document has not been signed. But in the first phase, funds were earmarked. About 520 billion was earmarked, and the categories to be considered were scientists and police officers, forces of lower rank were also considered. And among the scientists, science teachers were inclusive. And the money out of the 520 billion, the money that was earmarked for science teachers, which include scientists, all scientists in education institution.
Yes.
That is secondary science teachers, VTVET instructors,
tutors as well,
and then NTC lecturers were to benefit from the 98 billion. But we have watched a similar scenario where that money was opposed and diverted. The same way we are saying the one of this financial year was also tending towards being diverted, because we have managed to at least push things to the right direction by now. So it was diverted completely, and it happened at a time when they had already started paying, and teachers actually received the 2.2 million for 3 months. Then they stopped it. They started recovering it as a loan. It was bad.
Okay.
The teachers got injured, and there was protest all over the country. Our effort for our union by then to resolve it were futile, because they were part of the people pushing for that money to be reverted. Their reasoning to sound well to the public, a few wouldn't know that they wanted all teachers to earn the same money. So they diverted this money for recruitment. Use it to recruit new teachers. Money that is given for salary enhancement, people fought it and used it for recruiting new teachers. So this left science teachers disadvantage. I have a document here which I just want to show the nation.
A document that was written towards the public service?
This document shows the salary structure of a science teacher.
Yes.
If you look here, a science teacher currently has been earning between 1.1 million to 1.2.
Okay.
And they were proposing now in this, the money which they have diverted, to take a degree holder to 2.4 million, which we rejected. Because in their proposal, they were to lift a degree holder who is a scientist, because these scientists have been earning this 2.2 million, you can see. And from 2018, and we have been raising our voices on this marginalization, because today, if I leave teaching and I become an army officer, they are going to pay me as a scientist. If I leave teaching and I become a police officer, they are going to pay me 2.2 million.
Okay.
If I leave teaching and join local government, they are going to pay me 2.2 million. So we are saying, what on else is happening in the education sector? Are there people who value education in this country? How do you allow such disadvantaging policy to go through? So we came up, we formed this union, and the outermost goal we were looking at is to look at the interest and the welfare of our members. 2, to ensure that we increase a critical mass of quality scientists, because we are the one positioned to produce them.
Okay.
So we wanted these scientists to be happy so that they can work and ensure that a critical mass of quality scientists, quality doctors, quality nurses, quality engineers
Because at the end of the day, we want to be treated with quality.
Yes. And that is what I think the country is looking for.
Okay, so Mr. Elong, as a national chairperson of the Uganda Professional Science Teachers Union, and of course, now and again, and the information reaching is that it has been alleged that these funds were actually diverted. As the national chairperson, have you done a follow-up in regard to this?
We did a follow-up, and that's why I've carried file.
Okay.
Members will allow me. I may look a bit... on the last meeting we held was on 4th May at Minister of Public Service. And there was an interministerial meeting between Public Service after receiving our notice of industrial action.
Okay.
That was held. And that meeting included the Minister of Education, the Minister of Finance, to see whether they can avail fund, and the Minister of Public Service.
Okay.
And the technical staff in those ministries.
So what were the outcomes?
That meeting was held on 2nd, I think 3rd, and then they called us for a meeting on 4th, if I'm not, no, the meeting was held on 4th, then they called us on 6th for a meeting on Friday.
Okay.
But also the timing of the meeting was questionable, because we gave them the notice for industrial action early, but they placed to put it on Friday when the industrial action is starting on Monday. And the time they put was 3 p.m. So we saw that nothing good may come out from that meeting. It could be a meeting intended to intimidate us, to call off the strike. So we attended that meeting. I was invited, a letter, and they told me to go with 3 other people. We had the labor center, the 2 labor center, national labor center, where labor unions affiliates,
yes.
COFTO and NOTO. You saw the Chairman General of NOTO tweeting I had, and is in support of us. Chairman General of COFTO was there. And then we have the support of workers MPs. They also came in that meeting, and different stakeholders. And they had come in solidarity to negotiate with the government. But what I'm saying, that we had earlier written for them to resolve our issue, but we saw them not committing to. Then we pushed for a meeting to have a dialogue with the Minister of Public Service. That meeting was never scheduled, and it is coming to 5 months. It was never scheduled. We wrote a reminder letter. We followed up, and they told us that the minister had instructed the permanent secretary and the technical staff to arrange that meeting. But they knew they didn't want to have a dialogue with us over that. So we saw, if they can't talk to us, then let us express our grievance to the public through industrial action. And that is what has pushed the talk now.
So I'm assuming there were no good results from the meeting that you held, because then I would ask,
I want
to
read the first thing.
Okay.
Because we had said science teachers were left out of salary enhancement. We had raised 11 grounds why we are going for industrial action. And one of it included the proper funding of the new curriculum, lower secondary curriculum. And another one was, of course, was surrounding our salary issues. And then we had issues with of course, when people are teaching science, especially me who teach chemistry, we are exposed to poisonous gases and other poisonous chemicals. We need protection. So many people have died out of that, and they have gone silently without being noticed. So
your issue isn't actually on just salaries, but also you're looking at
broad.
incentives.
Our welfare has been abandoned broadly. So we the first issue, which was premier, was on the salary, which has been continuously diverted and leaving a very huge disparity, and we wanted it harmonized. And public service had written to us in December 3rd, telling us that they have noticed our grievances, because this one was a request for urgent intervention and correction of marginalization and discrimination in payment of salaries of all scientists working in post-primary education institution.
Yeah.
So they were responding to us. And this was a good response. They told us they are already working on salary harmonization. They are in some salary harmonization exercise. And come next financial year, our salary will be harmonized to the tune of the other scientists. But the salary structure they released here, which we opposed, only earmarked 134 billion.
Yes.
And that would still leave a disparity because it would put a science teachers at 2.4 while the other one has gone to 3.8. So we raised that and we said that is why now we need to meet you in April. And that meeting was not scheduled.
Okay.
But instead of even the little they had put there, they went ahead and diverted it. They removed it. Instead of maintaining it there, they removed it. And I want the nation to know they removed it. And this is the report the permanent secretary wrote to us. This is their response, the three ministry. They are saying a job evaluation for science teachers in all categories will be undertaken by Minister of Public Service. That means they have not done that job evaluation with a view of enhancing salaries as scientists. Minister of Public Service have committed 400 billion for financial year 2022-2023 for enhancement of salaries of other scientists, including professional science teachers. Science teachers have not been recognized and paid as other scientists. They said that response was still the same. Then presidential directive, because we also raised the issue of presidential directive. And this is not a promise. This is beyond a promise. The president promised, but went ahead and placed the directive.
Yes.
And a presidential directive is like a law. When he directs, the lower officers must find means to implement the directives. And the directive was given a time frame. By next financial year. I want all scientists, including science teachers, it was very clear. He even went ahead to state the categories. Said science teachers who are scientists include the following.
Yes.
The teachers who teach mathematics, chemistry, biology, physics, ICT, agriculture, etc. He listed. And he said, I want them to receive 4 million graduate.
Yes.
And diploma cadres to receive 3 million. Now, this directive, they wanted only to implement for the other cadres, but this one in education sector
were not being considered.
So some of these commissioners and technical staff said, we cannot accept a mere teacher to be paid 4 million more than us. They rather accept a police officer, somebody working in sub-county, agricultural extension officer, to be paid that money, but not a teacher. So we said this perspective, which is in the mind of the public, must be changed.
Yes.
And that's why we had to come up very strongly, and we are stating our points very strongly. And we are grateful that the nation has embraced it. Yesterday it was on the floor of Parliament, it was positive. The president came up on Monday in a cabinet meeting and reaffirmed his position and directed that his directives must be fulfilled in the next financial year. And that is the news we are getting. And I know, because he has supported this cause from the very beginning, and we want in a very special way, as the Uganda Professional Science Teachers Union, to thank in a very big way His Excellency, the President of Uganda, for standing behind us. The negative forces are many, but we know the fact that he has stated this point, we trust that we will get this money come July.
Okay.
And we also want to thank the cabinet. They have backed the president. We want to thank our minister, Janet Katamuseveni, for standing firm also to see that amidst all negative forces, science teachers get this salary announcement. I can tell you that the response, let me get back there, the response that we got on Friday was negative. Actually they said the budget provision for wage enhancement of health workers and other scientists was not sufficient to cover all categories.
Okay.
It was decided that health workers be considered. That is where now the money went. During financial year 2022-2023, and the rest of other scientists, including science teachers, will be enhanced in financial year 2023-2024. And I want government to get it clear. This is a report we got from, because we had the Prime Minister saying we are being used by opposition. We are not political. We are just standing for Ugandans. We don't subscribe to politics. I want to talk to the Prime Minister that we are not being used by opposition. And even when government say that we are acting prematurely, we have a document that shows that we have been removed.
So even as you're pushing towards this consensus and trying to make sure that your demands are met, have you tried in one or the other to liaise with UNATO as well? Have you reached out to them, and what is their kind of response?
Their position is parallel, and I don't want to engage in it because for them they are looking at, if you are considering salary enhancement for science teachers, you must consider the other teachers as well. But government, for us, we don't have issue with that. Government can raise salaries for humanity to 10 million. We will not oppose.
Okay.
As long as they are capable of doing that. As science teachers, we are just looking at our interest.
So
for them, they are looking at frustrate this so that government can be pushed to pull the other, which is okay. But we are also telling the nation that this government has said they don't have enough fund, and they are putting priority first on scientists. And then we are also saying, if we are scientists, we can't be left behind because we may be forgotten forever.
That could be true, but just away from you and a little, I want to put myself in a position of a parent. I want to put myself in a position of a child. I mean, we have just reported back to school. Children reported back to school on the 9th of May. We are living at a time where we have inflation in the country. Commodity prices are over the roof. We have high transport fares, and all this is going on. Now, if my child has reported back to school and science teachers are on strike, even while your needs definitely are very important and need to be validated, put yourself in the shoes of a parent. What do you think, or how do you think that they feel? So for clarity, is the strike still going on up until now?
The strike is still on because government has made a position, but we have not received it. We just saw it on media, and some of us didn't even watch it. We have written to government. I know government deal in black and white. We want that position to be communicated to us because our industrial action, we wrote to government, and we want them to respond and say, please, we have found a solution.
Okay, but
and back to your question, we as science teachers, I think we have been the most patient group, and I want the country to understand us. We've been the most patient group. We've seen the doctors strike during COVID, pushing for salary enhancement, and we are not new in this country. We've seen people take advantage of COVID. But for us, we had also, like terms open at a time when COVID was, we opened candidate classes. So many teachers got COVID and died. Some got it at the marking center. They died. This is on record. And nobody's talking about them being compensated. They left families. We would have used that time when they are opening to say, let's sit down, because our issue had been since 2018. Yeah. But we said, no, the country is still recovering from COVID. There's been, let's not declare. At least it is on record. My members came up and said, this is the opportunity for us to what? To strike. But I was blamed. I sat on that. I said, no, the country is not doing well. Let's use engagement. So, but we tried engagement, but nobody would listen to us. 4 years. You keep speaking the same thing. And I thought leaders are there to solve problems.
Absolutely, that should indeed be their role. But also we have the minister.
We have a feeling for parents. We have a feeling for students. But they should also have a feeling for science, what?
As well.
Teachers. It should be a two-way, not one way. These science teachers, somebody earning 900, a school, most schools don't have staff quarter, and they are not given the money for renting those accommodation. Some of them come from far, like a school where I teach. Some teachers travel as far as 30 kilometers, 20, to come and teach. They spend money. They put money in accommodation. Now a decent house that somebody can comfortably sit as a teacher, because a teacher must not live also like those vendors on the street, just in a slum. You are a teacher. You are mentoring the future generation.
Yes.
Future leaders.
So we need you in good
must
shape.
live responsibly in a good place. So a teacher rents a house of 500 but is receiving 900. He remains with 400. Then he has to transport himself to workplace. He has a family to feed, school fees to pay, and other needs. So we want parents to look at the. I know that during lockdown, parents saw the necessity and why teachers are needed, and that's why many of them were crying for schools to be open. So we are appealing to the parents that let's put this issue once for all. I know the timing of the industrial action to the parents was not the right timing, but to us it was the right timing, because it is the best time. Any unionist knows that the best time to get the attention of your employer is when you hit them at the time when they really need you. And industrial action is not actually legal. It is legal. It is in the constitution of Uganda. It is our rights, and we are enjoying that rights. Because when seeing negotiation fail, the law provides for that.
Okay.
So these teachers are acting, and those who are intimidating the teachers, you are making a very big mistake. The head teachers had swung into that. I know you are after money. That is where you benefit from. You get some school fees and use it to run your things. But I'm appealing to you that let the teachers express. They will come back and deliver better service. They will even cover that syllabus. Absolutely. Government is already working so hard, but we are told that they can't even push a supplementary on a Friday meeting. They can't find even 1 billion. But I can tell you 300 plus billion has already been found. We just wanted it documented through a strike. But on negotiation, it didn't come.
Okay, so as we wrap up this conversation, and Minister for ICT, that is Dr. Chris Bariomosi, did come out and say and highlight that this effect will actually be effective starting from the 1st of July. Isn't that like a sign of hope for you, or what is your opinion? What are your sentiments towards his statement?
We have received it with joy, and I think we applaud the president, and because he was the one only.
But was it a formal communication, or is it something that you had through
Formally,
the media?
they are yet to communicate, because there are still interministerial meetings. I've told it is, there are still interministerial meetings that are going on. Okay. And departmental meetings, so that they can come up with the financial implication, which is supposed to be, I think yesterday they should have sorted that. Okay. And then it will go back to cabinet to be approved. And I think from that point, but I guess between today, tomorrow, that communication will come. Okay. And when it comes, in line with what they have communicated on first, we will call our NEC, because NEC has given us the mandate to talk on their behalf. We'll call the National Executive Council immediately. Those who can't travel, we will put a Zoom meeting. Okay. So that we discuss the position of government and see how to resume back to class.
Okay, so I had to be the bringer of bad news or the bearer of bad news, but if the worst did come to the worst, God forbid, and no response or even no communication is officially made, what would be plan B? Would the strike still go on?
We have plan A, B, and I think even C. Okay. Or even D. But others will not say it. But one of it, the strike is on, and engagement is what? On. Because even when we declare this industrial action, okay, we the top leadership, as our members are expressing their grievances, we've been in talks. We wrote a petition to the Speaker of Parliament on, I think, 25th, of April. And the notice of industrial action had just gone on 21st. Then we wrote on 25th, and on 28th, the speaker had met us.
Okay.
On, I think on 23rd, we had met some workers' MPs who actually are the one who paved the way for us to meet the speaker. So we are as leaders, we are trying to knock. And if they are still trying to not understand our issue well, we will knock and maybe meet the Prime Minister in the next few days, or the President. And that tells the nation that we are actually concerned about the children we teach. We care for them more than the people who think we don't care.
Okay.
We care for these children, and when they pass, it is our pride.
Because we are building a nation.
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
so as we wrap up the conversation, are there any last remarks that, first of all, you would like to speak to the teachers who are taking the same action, the industrial action, that, you know, in regard to their grievances and concerns being heard? My last remark to my dear teachers, there's a lot of conspiracy. People are saying that you have gone back to class, things have gone to normal, but we are in touch with you. We know that you are not in class. Another approach they have put down there is to intimidate you. We have seen letters flying that giving you few hours to report to schools from your supervisors. But I can tell you that supervisors are not court and law themselves. They should read the law and understand the law, because if not, the law will catch up with them. This is the constitutional right of these teachers. Okay. Let them express their grievance. So the teachers should stay calm and overcome the intimidation from the intimidators and oppressors. Okay. Those who are intimidating the teachers are actually the oppressors, and those who don't wish teachers well, and they don't wish children well. So those head teachers, calm down. Let the teachers express their grievance. Government is already responding, and I don't think 1 week lost cannot be recovered. You put up remedial actions, and don't cut their allowances. There are some schools that pay PTA, because you will start another internal strike within the school. Mm-hmm. And for us, we will come and talk to you. Okay. So how about to the authorities? The authorities where this particular action they're directly involved, such as the Ministry of Education and Sports and the different entities, what would you like to tell them this morning? My word to government is science teachers are committed to build the nation. We understand that the NRM manifesto is anchored towards building science-based economy. And we are premier in that. My word to the government is take up the matter of science teachers' welfare seriously. The debate that all teachers are the same, we know. We are the same, we all teach, but we teach different things, and we have different products. Also, I want to say that all doctors are not the same, and they are paid differently. Absolutely. We have neurosurgeons, we have surgeons, and then these are the ordinary doctors who give Panadols and treat malaria. They are paid differently, but they have a named doctor. They are called doctors. So teachers also offers different services, and okay, we must appreciate them for that, and I think government knows that, and government should not tolerate such petty discussion of saying that science teachers must be paid equally. Government is at liberty to raise salary of the other group, and we are not in opposition to it. They can raise it above ours or quite below. We are okay with it if they have resources. But for science teachers, treat them as scientists, pay them as scientists without discrimination. We want our salary come next financial year harmonized. Yes. Okay, well, thank you so much, Mr. Long Vincent, for
You're welcome.
joining us this morning. And it was quite unfortunate that we were not able to get a hold of Mr. Philip Paguma, but otherwise we have had this conversation. And I was with Mr. Elong Vincent, and he's the national chairperson of the Uganda Professional Science Teachers Union. And that wraps up what I had for you this morning on the Twitter Jabs. However, do stay tuned because we still do have an amazing show lined up for you. And up next is Beauty, Wellness and Lifestyle. Sarah Apollo will be taking a lead on that segment. Keep watching Sunrise at Sea and don't blink.